Okay, here we go. So concentration, the review of concentration, all these seven factors are so important. These seven factors of awakening. I like to think of them as seven factors of also of optimal presence. It's all the factors that are there when we're fully present, you know? Yeah. And and concentration is one of the big ones. Concentration is one of the most important ones. It really, the ability to kind of settle down. First of all, it has two elements, right? The two core elements to concentration are calming and staying, and stability, calming and stability. And they're both challenging for us, right? They're both challenging. Mm. I do like the word tranquility. It's often talked about that way in the texts as well as tranquility, because tranquility captures more the calm part. Yeah, yeah, the calm part. Concentration, unfortunately, because of all of our associations to it, has more of that cognitive part. It can evoke striving. The problem with concentration, as we understand it, is it evokes too much agency, too much. All right, how do I get hold of this? How do I keep the mind? How do I slow it down? How do I steady it? And we can overmanage it. We can start to overmanage it, overdo it with concentration. Yeah. Uh, it's understandable. The instruction is, more or less stay with the flow of sensations with the breath or whatever it is. And as soon as we say, okay, it seems like a simple enough instruction, we realize what a wild, you know, the wild horses that are running through here. The mind is just not settling, and so naturally we think the solution or the direction here is to try harder. Okay, that's what it is. I'm not serious enough. I did this for a long time. I'm going to get that breath. I'm going to catch that breath. I'm not going to let it go. And unfortunately, that kind of concentration can create more tension in the mind and the body. It can create more tension in the mind and body, right? And then at a certain point, and even can do it for a couple minutes. All right, I'm staying with it. I'm staying with it. But then it's almost like a foreign object that the organism just wants to expel, because it's like, who wants this? If it doesn't feel good, it doesn't feel good. It feels like it's tightening things up. I'm with the breath, but it's tight. It's tight. It's tight, Yeah. And um, that's why we always teach the holding environment, settling a little bit more, learning to soften a little bit more in the internal space before we do concentration, because then we have a chance to see it, concentration, as an extension of the holding environment, which was what it really is. You know, when concentration deepens, it's more like not, oh, get back here, get back here, get back here. It's more like, oh my, look at this. Look at how amazing this is, this breath. Oh, this is really cool. Yeah. Now, that doesn't take striving, right? It doesn't take striving to really take in a sunset. We know this. We know we know the orientation here. It's like, all right, how do I be with this? How do I, how do I take interest? How do I take interest? Interest is the mother of concentration, not striving. Interest. The real question for us is, how do we become more interested in the present moment, in the breath, in our internal landscape? How do we become more interested internally than then the interest we take in our thoughts and our stories and our blah 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 blah, our planning and our regret, all the world of thinking that we take interest in, to learn to take more interest in the breath. And it's not interesting initially. It's just not. We'd rather go anywhere else. And that's what we do. Oh yeah, I'm here with the breath or so. Well, let's go. What's more interesting? There's a lot more things interesting than the breath, which is why we have to create it to be interesting. We have to keep coming back as if, which is why we'll always say, as if it's unbelievably precious, as if it's amazing, as if it's definitely as amazing as a sunset. I mean, it is. It certainly is much a miracle, but it takes us a while to get to really feel the interest in our inner world, to feel get really interested, and to really soften, so that concentration becomes more of, oh, wow, this is really incredible. It's lovely. There's nothing more interesting than this. There's nothing more compelling than settling in this way, than calming in this way, right? And that's a huge project. Yeah, it's a huge project. The other thing that gets us into trouble is thinking, like I told you, I used to peak in retreats, and I would look around and I think, oh, everybody's got it better than me. No, they don't. No, they don't. Concentration is the big one for all of us. It really is. It really is. And it's a project. It's a project like playing an instrument. I want to make music now. Yeah, I did too. And then I realized, no, I have to play scales for a long time. I have to learn to read music. I have to learn some chords. And wow, I didn't think it was going to take that much practice, but that's what concentration is. And that's why we just approach it a little bit at a time, a little bit of the holding environment, a little bit of softening. You know, there's a lot of conditioning in us. We're wild animals, we're wild creatures, we're restless, a lot of energy there. And so it takes patience and persistence again and again and again to come back, to be willing, first of all, just to be willing to stay with the project, to come back to the project, to be willing to see that this is such an important part of the practice. It's such an important part of wellness. It's part of the wellness project, it really is. And I've got to start to bring more willingness to this. Then as soon as a thought flows by, oh no, that's way more interesting, I'm just going to go with that. I'm going to go with the story. Oh, this is a way more interesting, I'm going to go with the story. For a long time we do that. Yeah, we do that a lot. We still do that a lot. Because the thought is more interesting than the breath. Until it isn't. Until we go, wait a second. Eventually, the organism begins to say, well, you know what? It's really good to come in for a landing a little bit. It really feels good. It really can be a refuge. The breath really can be a port in the storm. At a certain point, it's like, yeah, at a certain point. Yeah. Mm. Just like if you've been playing an instrument for a while, at a certain point, yeah, it feels lovely. It feels easy. It feels natural. It feels like, of course, of course, of course. But it's a project, and we appreciate all of you sticking with it, staying with it. You've tasted it. You've tasted it in moments. You've tasted it some. There are levels and layers to concentration. Many layers to it, many layers to softening, many layers to interest, many levels to taking interest. Yeah, yeah. Taking interest without thinking about it all the time. It's a different kind of interest. It's an interest in just being there. It's interest in settling, in softening, and in just hanging out in the vicinity of the present at the present moment. You know, it's an acquired taste. It's an acquired taste. We have not had any real training in doing that. We have real training, lots of training, right? We've trained in a lot of ways to get to where we are. Again, it's so important to just realize this is not rocket science. It's just a new training. It's a new training of the heart. It's a training of the mind, heart mind, of the chitta. You know? And so it's taking interest gradually, gradually, patience, 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 and so forth. Yeah? Yeah. So, yeah, concentration is one of the big ones. We didn't realize how important it was when it first came up in these practices came over here 50, 60 years ago. That's not the most important thing. Mindfulness is the most important thing. Concentration is the backbone of mindfulness. Mindfulness can only go as deep as the underpinning of concentration. You know? You know, with concentration, as concentration deepens, we can start to take a look at other parts of what's going on in the mind and be able to stay more and more. Stay, you know. Until we learn how to stay, it's like a handheld camera, you know. So it's just really a sense of gathering the energies, gradually gathering the energies. Yeah, yeah. On seeing that as one of the most important skill sets. It's one of the really important skill sets. Yeah, of meditation practice. Yeah, and it's one that really feels good too. It's one of the places where the practice really starts to feel good. Yeah, like incredibly refreshing, incredibly just being able to drop into that space becomes a very, very uh, great support. And when concentration starts to deepen, it really kicks into a kind of positive reinforcement that makes you appreciate, oh, this practice is so relevant. I want to keep going with this. I want to keep doing this. It's restorative, it's nurturing, it's healing. Yeah, yeah. So I'm going to keep encouraging you with all these aspects of practice, right? But concentration is a big one. Concentration is a big one. Yeah, yeah. So thank you. Thank you for your attention. Let's do a little bit of this now together. Okay. Let's do a little bit of this together. So you know how that is. We're going to open up, right? Open up. Whatever needs attention. Uh, Whatever needs softening. Shoulders, jaw, face, eyes, ah, neck. Uh, yeah, and beginning to slow it down, and then lightly closing the eyes when you're ready. If it's helpful to take a couple of deeper than usual breaths, then doing that. In either case, we want to bring attention from whatever is going on cognitively to the breath, to the body breathing. Beginning towards settling, beginning that move toward a deeper settling and softening. Orienting toward a bit more comfort in the breathing itself. This amazing breath. The way I get the heart involved is even as we start to settle, it can still be kind of a mind thing, right? Uh, there isn't necessarily a lot of juice there, or a lot of interest, or a lot of heart. And so just reflecting for a moment, if you will, about the miracle of this breath of life. Even when I just have that momentary reflection, it changes my relationship to the breath for a moment. It's like, oh, of course, this is not a casual thing. This breath, this is not just an object of my attention. This is something much more intimate and profound than that. It's amazing. But again, however, you can begin to bring more interest, more care, more heart. It's again that willingness to invest a little bit here, to commit a little bit here. Oh, and to be creative about how do you make it more interesting? How can you go, and staying in the vicinity as best you can of this breath, this precious breath. And whenever the mind wanders away, and you notice that it's wandered, it's that willingness again to return to this next breath. I always come back to the next exhale myself. as if this really were precious, precious. The mind wanders and we return as if there's no place we'd rather be, as if. And softening, softening. The last few minutes of the meditation, maybe settling back a bit more, softening a bit more. The breath is already moving, all on its own. Just following it softly as it moves. Hey, thank you so much.